I don't know. I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
He'll leave you for the next hot blonde. That's what.
Now, Karen, men are very visual. You have to admire a guy who knows what he wants and goes after it. Okay, here's one who owns a yacht on the Delaware Bay, attended the New England Culinary Institute, and lives in a condo on Prince Edward Island with his mom.
Yikes.
Aw, what a sweet, sensitive man.
He lives with his mom!
Haven't you heard the way to tell how a man will treat his wife is to look at his relationship with his mom? This guy is great with his mother.
Yeah, but you don't want a guy that's still attached to mommy by the umbilical cord. You want someone who knows how to make a living so he can support a family. Someone who's honest, responsible, not in too much debt. Someone confident in himself.
Oh, like this guy? Tall, dark, handsome, strong, rich. Everything you've been waiting for. Ladies, your Prince Charming has just ridden up on his dashing steed, ready to whisk you away to a happily ever after. Wow.
Oh, brother. Oh, look at his picture. His ego is writing checks that his body can't cash.
Read this one. A single white male ready to explore the depths of love with the wonderful woman willing to adventurously navigate the treacherous jungles of life. How romantic.
Very poetic. Oh, he's 58.
Darn it. I quit.
Don't worry. The man of your dreams is out there.
Yeah. But Paul Watson's already married.
I found Wally and we're happy together.
I am definitely going to be an old maid.
I broke something. I don't know what it is, but I just broke something. Are you writing checks your body can't deliver on? That was great, huh? All right. If you have your Bibles, flip over to Songs of Songs 1 through 7. If you don't, it's going to be on the overhead. It's also in your notes. I'd like to walk through it with you. It says this. It says, Song of Songs right after Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs. So go to the middle of your Bible, hang a right. It says, kiss me again and again, for your love is sweeter than wine. How fragrant your cologne and how pleasing your name. This is the young woman, and she's writing about her lover. Okay? How fragrant your cologne and how pleasing your name. No wonder all the young women love you. Wouldn't you love to have that said about you? No wonder all the young women love you. Take me with you. Come, let's run. Bring me into your bedroom, O my king. How happy we are for him. We praise his love even more than wine. How right that the young women love you. I am dark and beautiful, a woman of Jerusalem, tanned as the dark tints of Solomon. Don't look down upon me, you fair city girls, just because my complexion is so dark. The sun has burned my skin. My brothers were angry with me, and they sent me out to tend the vineyards in the hot sun. Now see what it has done to me. Tell me, oh my love, where you are leading your flocks today. Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander around like a prostitute among the flocks of your companions? Here's what's going on. She's writing to her lover, and that you may not use those words of why should I wander around with the flocks of your companions, or describe your skin as some brown tint. But back then, this is kind of what's going on, and here's what she's saying. She's saying, I think I found the right guy. I think I found a guy who has a lot of integrity, that he has a good name, and that he likes me for who I am and how I am, and that I shouldn't have to work like a prostitute to be with him. That's basically what she's saying. Those are good words, right? And so the very first thing that we're just going to say is this. If you're writing things down, that if we're talking about the art of attraction, that your name is your best attribute. Did you know that? That you think about what your best attribute is? Some of you may think it's your hair. Some of you may think that it's your great personality. Some of you may think it's that it's your athletic ability or that you're funny. But your name should be your greatest attribute. He says in verse 3, how fragrant your cologne and how pleasing your name. No wonder all the women love you. Because you know what? Your name is your reputation. Your reputation. No wonder all the women love you. Here's what happens. Guys, catch this. This is really important. That when girls are hanging around talking, they are talking about guys. Amen? Ladies? Is that true? And they're talking about guys. And what they're talking about is your reputation. And what they're talking about out of your reputation really is your name. That when they say, hey, when you go walking by and they go, hey, there goes John. Oh, yeah. You know about John? John he's a stud. That dude is awesome. He's really great. He has a good personality. He's nice to girls. He's kind. And then they start talking about you. Right? And then they talk and they talk and they talk. Guys just like, yeah, she's hot. That's a guy's conversation. But they're talking about your reputation. They're talking about your name. And what they really, really, really want to talk about is guys who have a great reputation, who have a great name. A lot of times, though, that if you don't have a good reputation and you don't have a good name, that they talk about that too. And those conversations go like, oh, stay away from that guy. He is an absolute jerk. He goes out with all kinds of women. All he wants is sex. He treats girls terrible. And they talk about that too. And they talk about the reputation. And that girls, when they talk, they really want to be talking about guys who are kind. They want to talk about guys who honor women. They really want to talk, they like to talk about tough guys who are willing to defend girls and respectful. And you see, when it comes to this place and it says, your name is better than your beauty, is basically what it's saying. And the reason it says that your name is better than beauty is because beauty doesn't last. If you are in your 20s, you are the best looking you will ever be at this point right now. It is all downhill from there. Trust me, I checked in the mirror this morning. It was like, oh God, something's got to give. Something's got to happen. Again this morning was a new declaration of, I need to start getting in shape again. And Proverbs 31:30 says this. It says, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. It says that in the New English Version. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. And here's what that's saying. Charm is deceitful because anybody can say nice things. That it really comes back to what you do, right? Charm is deceitful. Beauty is vain because beauty does not tell what's on the inside. It only tells on what's on the outside. In the NIV it says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. Meaning that all of us, regardless of what we want, will look like our parents. All of us are heading down that road. Years ago, and my wife and I were dating, and she came home one day and we were talking and she said, hey, you know, I got invited to this party and I think I really want to go. And I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, I got invited to this party and I think I want to go. It's just a bunch of people from school and I think I want to go. And as we're talking about that, pretty soon it comes out that she had been invited by this guy. And I said, really? What's his name? And she said, I don't know his name, but they call him the Iceman. They call him the Iceman. Now you got to know that I'm a couple years older than you, and Top Gun had just come out a couple years earlier than that. And when they said they call him the Iceman, I was like, oh geez, he is going to be this major league stud, and I'm feeling a little insecure about myself. And so we talked about it, but I did like the idea that this super studly guy had the hots for my girlfriend. I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, yeah, of course you would. I've done good. And so we talked, and I was like, all right, here's the deal. I don't care if you go to the party if you don't care if I go with you. And she's like, okay, that's cool. And so we get there, and we're hanging out at this party, and I am looking in, and I come walking through the door, and when I come walking through the door, I am immediately looking for like the tall, good-looking, muscly guy. And I'm like, I wonder if that's him. Ooh, that guy's kind of stud-looking guy. That guy, you know, because this guy has a reputation. He has gotten a name. And pretty soon this girl comes over, and she's talking with Linnea, and they kind of whisper. And I know immediately that's the sign to listen in really well. When girls whisper, that means listen. And so I just kind of lean over and kind of go that way, and I hear her say, there he is. There's the Iceman. And she says, which one? The guy coming through the door right now. And I look up, and there's this little skinny guy with an overbite. And I'm thinking to myself, no way, how did he get that name? And then I turn over, and I just lean over, and I'm like, if you want to go out with him, you can. Not a big deal. She's like, let's go. But here's the thing. The point is this, is that your name carries with it attributes. Your name carries with it, and it should carry with it your best attribute. That when people talk about you, they should be talking about a person who has character. Your best attribute is your name, because people know you before they know your character. Because you see, when you come walking into a room and somebody says, and I introduce myself, hey, I'm Paul Watson. And they reply to that, oh yeah, I know your friend. He's told me about you. That what he has told them about me is my character. Does that make sense? And that your name will always go before you. Proverbs 22:1 says a good name is more desirable than great riches. I did a wedding this weekend in Denver for a couple that comes to the door. They were going to be here tonight, but I don't think they are. But I did a wedding for Greg and Corey Holtman. Before it was Corey Williams and Greg Holtman. Officially, as of Sunday evening, it is now Greg and Corey Holtman. And I got to tell you that this was one of the best ceremonies I've ever been a part of. And it wasn't so much that it was the most beautiful or the most terrific, whatever. The thing that was so wonderful about it was that both of them came from incredibly great families that loved God with all their heart. And both families had a great name. They had a great reputation with their friends. That when we were at the wedding reception and all their friends were hanging out, all they would talk about is how wonderful that family was. And it was on both sides. You know, because all of us have been to weddings where we actually save the receipt of our gift because we're thinking, this thing doesn't have but 30 minutes left. Right? And what you're really thinking is this, is that you're making a decision based upon that person's name, based upon that person's character. And that's why as you begin to attract people and you begin to look for people, what you want to look for is you want to look for a great name. You want to look for a great character. Because the second point is just simply this, that your character will determine your catch. Did you know that? Your character, the type of character that you have, will determine the type of person you catch. Your character is going to determine your catch. Ladies, if you are fishing with all your cleavage, you are only going to catch guys that are interested in sexual activity. You're only going to catch guys that really don't respect the girl, but only desire the object. And you know what, guys? If you are fishing with your great job and all your skills, that what you're going to catch is a girl who's not necessarily interested in the catch, in the person, but maybe the things that the person can provide. That you catch whatever character you use. In verse 7 it says, "Tell me, O my love, where you are leading your flocks. Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander like a prostitute among the flocks of your companions?" Here's what was going on back then. Back then, what happens is anytime there's a group of gathering of men, it's been this way throughout history. Anytime there's a gathering of men that you'll find a lot of guys in one area, you will always find prostitutes. Don't know why it works that way, but it does. And so what would happen is these guys would all get together and they would move their flocks from place to place to place to place. And what would happen is the prostitutes would follow them, and in the middle of the day when the guys were trying to get out of the sun, they would head back to their tents, and the girls would be there throwing their bodies at these guys. And what she was saying was this. She was saying, instead of me following you, waiting for you to end up at a place and hanging out with all the prostitutes, here's what should happen. You should let me know where you're going to be, and I will show up there because I'm in love with you, but I'm not going to prostitute myself to you. That I have character. That I am not here to be your object of desire. I am here to be your woman you desire from character. And she didn't want to be known as prostitutes. And this has happened for eons. That as a matter of fact, where we get the word hooker is from all the girls that used to chase General Hooker's men from the Civil War. And that just stuck. And that if you were a lady that followed around the guys of General Hooker's army, you became known as a hooker. And now that has been turned into hooker is consecutive with a prostitute. And she was saying, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be like that. You see, here's the deal. If you're looking to attract someone, don't look for the right person. Look for the right kind of person. That the art of attraction basically comes back to this. Because what we do is we go out, we have this thing in America where we date everybody. If they ask, we say yes. Because we're going to find the right person, and we're going to do it by process of elimination. And so our goal is maybe we're going to date 1,000 people this year. And I know that I'll eliminate all these guys, and pretty soon one of them will be the guy. You see, the person who dates like that is not dating looking for the right, they're looking for the right person instead of looking for the right type of person. Because your reputation is a direct result of your character. I want you to catch this. The word character comes from a Greek word called karasso. The word character comes from a Greek word called karasso. And to karasso meant to etch. To take an object and use that object, that hard object, to etch. Maybe you're etching your name in something. Maybe you're etching a picture in something, and you're etching it into a hard object so that it won't disappear. And so character should be that thing that is etched into your heart, that is etched into your soul, that is character, that it's karasso, that it's not going anywhere. Because you see, we as Americans have this lack of karasso. That we take our character and that we say, yeah, no, these are my standards, but if you're really good looking and you're really hot and you have a lot of money, I can lower those standards. And that we drop the character, we drop the karasso. You see, in Genesis 24, Abraham needs to find a wife for his son Isaac, and they did it completely different than we do it. They didn't do it by process of elimination. They didn't do it by looking at a guy and saying, hey, he's good looking, yeah, I'll go out with you. Hey, we have some common interests, and trying to find out what those interests are and then breaking down the relationship and getting to know each other a little bit. They did it through character. And Abraham sends out his servant and he says, here's what I want you to do. We live here and there's this land over here that I don't want you to go to because the character of those people is terrible. Don't go there. And he says, and you might find yourself going to this land. And he said, and the character of those people, it's not good. I would not want my son to marry anybody from that particular land. And he boils this down. There's 4 regions. And finally, he takes this one region and he says, these are people of character. Would you make sure not to wander into any other parts of the land except this place? And then what I want you to do is I want you to go out and I want you to find a woman of high character. And so Abraham's servant takes Isaac and they head off into this land and they come to this well. And when they come to this well, Abraham's servant begins to ask the people about different families in the area. And they said, if you would go to this one well, you're going to find this family. And they bring out their daughters to get water for all their camels at this certain point. And if you would wait right there, they'll come out. And sure enough, they wait right there. And sure enough, this family brings out their daughters to get water out of the well. And as they get in water, Abraham's servant had a list of characteristics that he was looking for in a lady for Isaac. And he was looking first for a name. He was looking first for a family who had high characteristics, who had high values. And then he began to look to make sure that this person was a believer. Did this person serve the living God? You see, we have too many people that they decide that they're going to first find love and work out the details. I will first find love and then I will find out if they love God. I will first find love and then I will find out if they are the same, if they're a Christian or not. I will first find love and then we will work out the details. I sat with a couple here years ago that as we sat in marriage counseling, I asked the question, well, because you come to me as a pastor and you're asking me to bless your marriage and me to perform your ceremony, can I just expect that both of you believe and love and serve God? And she looks at me and she says, yeah, I believe and love and serve God. And he looks at me and says, yeah, I believe and love and serve God's. I said, wait, what was that? He said, I believe and love and serve God's. I said, okay, I'm not sure that I'm getting this right. That you guys both believe and love and serve God of the Bible, the living God of the universe, who created all and died for your sins and rose again 3 days later. That is the God that I represent. And that is the only God. Are we on the same page with that? She looks at me and said, yeah, that's exactly what I believe. And he looks at me and says, no, there are hundreds of God, and you can choose any God you want to. She had found love, but she hadn't checked out his character. And that you've got to find a person who has godly character. You see, here's the secret, women. That women, for guys want to be known as William Wallace. Every guy imagines himself as William Wallace. I was going to bring out my William Wallace sword. My wife bought me a William Wallace sword a couple years ago. And the William Wallace sword, for those of you that have not read Wild at Heart, is the sword that represents family, love, and God. And one day I went home, and as I walked through the door, my wife said, hey, I got something for you, And I'm like, what? I was, thinking that maybe she had got me some new shoes or something. She goes, no, you got to sit down. And as we sit down, she blindfolds me. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this is going to be a pie in the face. This is usually what happens when she blindfolds me. And I sit down and she comes out and she sets it on my lap and she unfolds she takes off the blindfold and there's this William Wallace sword sitting in my lap. And she says, because I want you to be the defender of our faith and our family and lead us in the ways of God. And I went, oh. I got to tell you, that sword sits, if you come into my office, it sits on the back wall. And I look at it all the time. And when I look at it, I think, God, I want to be the defender of my family and of my faith. And I want to lead them in the ways of God. And that ladies really do. There's this whole thing that goes around right now, and there's pink is everywhere. And in pink, there's all these sequins, and there's this stuff it says, princess. All women desire to be princesses. Here's what they're saying. What they're really saying is that I want to find a guy that would treat me with respect, I want to find a guy that would treat me with love and kindness and integrity, that loved me with true love, not just as an object. And what that really comes back to is character. What kind of character will you have? You see, because I believe this, and I want you to catch this. If you haven't written anything down tonight, write this down. If you want to catch trashy fish, fish on the bottom. Did you know that? That trash fish always hang out down at the bottom where the trash is. And if you're going to fish for trashy fish, that's where you're going to hang out. And that's where you're going to find them. And that your character will tell you the type of character that you have by the places you're hanging out, by the fish you're catching. You see, the key to the art of attraction is being attracted to someone who has character. Do they love God? How do they treat people? Guys, if you want to know the character of the girl you're dating, ask their roommates. Because they'll tell you. Because it's really funny. Ladies, I'm not picking on you, but there's this real easy thing to turn it on the charm. Girls can turn on the charm like guys don't figure it out till like 25. And they're like, I have charm? I didn't know. My daughter was in kindergarten, and on her first day of school, I took her to school. And when I was holding her hand, I guess I would have been about 27 at that time. No, I would have been about 25 at that time. And I'm holding her hand and I'm taking her to school. And all of a sudden she goes, Dad, that's far enough. And she kicks back her head and she goes skipping off and she has this little skirt and it's going tink, tink, tink. Because there were boys at school in kindergarten. And I was like, how did she figure that out? I don't know. Because I think that what's worse than being single and miserable, because sometimes we really just desire a relationship. I was talking with a friend of mine this week, and she was talking with a friend of hers this week that couldn't keep out of relationships. And when it came down to it, she just asked, why do you feel like you always need a relationship? And she said, because I can't live without one. I don't want to be alone. And so many times we are always looking for relationships instead of the actual character of a person that loves God, because we're really so afraid of being alone. But you know what is more miserable than being alone? It is being in a relationship and feeling lonely. Ask those people that have marriages that are on the outs, that are struggling. That is it more miserable where you're at because you chose not to make decisions based on character? Or is it better to make decisions based upon character and let God be God? I want to give you 3 things real quick. 3 ways to know that you're ready to date and marry. They look like this. The very first way to know that you're ready to date and marry is when you know who you won't date. Until you have made a decision on the type of people that you won't date, you are not ready to date. If you are in relationships, and those relationships are not based upon godly character, I'm going to tell you, you are in the wrong relationship. That I believe that you need to come to the place that I believe that by eliminating the people you won't date, you'll eliminate a lot of trouble in your life. That don't date mean people. If people treat other people bad, that as soon as you get into the relationship and you're down the road a little bit, they will treat you bad. Don't date people with negative attitudes. Always aspire to spiral upwards. The second one is this. Know the things you won't do. Until you have come to the place where you know the things that you won't do, you're not ready to be in a relationship. She would have rather have been single than be compromising. And we should all be there. Choose singleness over compromising every time. That don't cross sexual lines, don't cross moral lines, don't cross spiritual lines. And don't ask them to cross lines for you. And the last one is just simply this. Until you don't need to be in a relationship, you shouldn't be in a relationship. that until you come to the place where you don't need to be in a relationship, you shouldn't be in a relationship. You see, I believe that the characteristics of a godly relationship are the same characteristics of a godly person found in Galatians. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and self-control. Until you have those in your relationship, that's what a godly relationship is built on. So right now I'm going to ask the ushers to, or not the ushers, I'm going to ask the worship team to come back up. I'm going to ask the ushers to come up and play for us tonight. We don't know how good it's going to be, but we're going to have those guys come up. I'm going to ask the worship team to come back up. As they're coming back up, we're going to close with one last worship song. I want you to catch this. If you're talking about the art of attraction boils down to two things. For a guy, it should boil down to that his name is greater than his looks. That his name is greater than his looks. You see, if that guy is more concerned with his looks than his name, let him go. You'll find somebody that has a godly name, that is a God-honoring person, that is interested in his character, that is interested in his charasso, that wants godliness just etched into his soul. And that a girl's heart is greater than her skin. Guys, you need to be looking for a girl that has a heart that is loving, that is kind, that is compassionate. She's going to raise your children. That you need to look for a girl who loves God and has kindness and compassion upon her lips. Not bitterness and ill will. You see, here's how you find a mate. You head towards God as fast as you can. You run towards Jesus Christ with everything that is in you, and you just focus upon Jesus. And on your way, take a look to your left, take a look to your right, and find somebody that is running as fast and as passionate towards Christ as you are, and invite them to join you. That's the art of attraction. Amen? Right now we're going to close with one last song and then prayer afterwards. But during this last song, would you just do me a favor? Would you examine your heart for character? Would you examine your relationship with Christ for charasso and see where it sits? And maybe during this time, you would say, Lord, I need to give you my relationship. We need to put it back on the right track. All right? Don't forget that right after service, we're going to be hanging out in the back, eating some food, and everybody's enjoyed it. Even if you didn't bring $3, come hang with us.